Welcome to Hockey Tap Podcast, episode 172. Sam Wu did not like my title. I was going to go with Bob's Your Uncle, which most people don't. Obviously, it's a famous saying, right? Bob's your uncle.
Mhm.
And we'll get into this right now. But it actually means like it's over or like this is over. And, I thought that was apropos. For the series because of what we'll get in a minute. But yeah, essentially, Bob's Your Uncle was a phrase commonly used in the United Kingdom and Commonwealth countries that means, and there it is, and there you have it, or it's done. So we can get into the minutes. But anyways, that was my pod title. Sam Wu didn't like it. He changed it to Cap Unfriendly. So
it's like 2 weeks, 3 weeks in a row he's done that to you.
I know. What a jerk. But we're brought to you by Primetime Radio, courtesy of Mr. Wu. I'm here. I'm Bill Dean. This is obviously Shorts Guy. We're your two co-hosts. We're missing two other co-hosts because one jerk decided to have a baby and the other one just doesn't like us. But you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Leave us a 5-star review if you'd be ever so kind. But Shorts Guy, what are we drinking? And then we'll get into all the fun and shenanigans.
Yeah. So I have a new beer, brand new. Just came out recently. I don't know how, about maybe within the last month. It's a Mudhen beer.
Nice.
It's a new IPA called Shore Trip. I know it's being washed out by my light here. It says the recipe for an epic time down the shore is a simple one. You need sun surf and you're like us. A delicious libation in formulating the recipe for this beer. We wanted to keep things just as straightforward. IPA is brewed with German Pilsner malt and Strata hops from the Pacific Northwest. Doesn't need much else. Enjoy the flavorful lucidity of your shore trip. Comes in at 7%. So,
all right, a little bit of a
not
as bad as my last week.
No, did you finish that?
Yeah, I did, and not that I was like feeling it, but 17. That one was 17%. That's a big boy.
It was a heavy.
Yeah, it was potent. So yeah, I was not hurting, but I was definitely like, all right, that's enough.
I'm sure you felt something. You had to have felt something.
Oh no, definitely felt it. I'm just saying that's enough. Like I don't need to do any more, drink any more than that bad boy. So this one, courtesy of AJ Dean, podcast,
the better looking Dean, the best looking
football prime time. One of my co-hosts, not the best looking Dean, but okay. This is courtesy of Bolero Snort. They went out with this Evil Waters. I kind of had a couple podcasts ago. But Evil Water, which was a collaboration with them and Evil Twin. Now they're doing this thing where it's by themselves only. But this is malt beverage with pineapple, tangerine, and coconut. So it's really like a fruity, watered alcoholic beverage.
Kind of like Go ahead.
Like what?
Finish.
This is called Cosmix Liquid Remixed Painkiller. So I'm excited to try these because they sounded pretty good.
Kind of like the Swedish Fish, the gummy Swedish Fish, whatever they had.
Yes.
It seems like something like that.
Oh wow, that's pretty good.
Is it good?
It's like
probably.
Yeah, it's like a painkiller in beer form. Ooh.
Who's the brewer? Is it? It's Bolero Snort?
Bolero. Yeah.
That means there's lactose in it.
No lactose. So all these ones are
lactose. They put lactose in their water.
they probably. But this one does not have lactose in it. They are pretty good. That's the one thing about Bolero. They will tell you that there's lactose in it. This one does not have lactose.
90% of them have lactose.
Yeah, pretty much. Me and Steven actually enjoyed a beer this past weekend with lactose was not in it. It was by Bolero Snort. So I was able to give 10%. Him. Yeah, the 10%er. All right, let's get to what's on tap for today's episode. Yep. Here's our weekly snapshot. Stanley Cup playoffs. Well, here, let's get to the elephant in the room. Schwim.
Yes.
He's not here because.
By the way, I teased this last night.
Oh, you did?
Let's Go Devils podcast. Yes, I did tease that there was a major announcement tonight on Hot Pod.
Major announcement.
Just a major announcement. Nothing crazy.
Yep. So Schwim had his baby, little girl.
Woo!
She's beautiful. And congrats to him and his wife, and everybody's doing well. And we wish them all the best. And now Schwim is in that group of adult males with little girls that he has to now protect until his life is over. And I'm in that category, and it's fun category, but it also, I don't. The moment that my daughter goes on her first date, is going to be heartbreaking, and I'm going to scare the living daylights out of that young man.
Haven't we spoken about like having Steven answer the door?
Yeah, like Bad Boys for Life, like he has a gun and stuff, and I mean, Steven would be the least intimidating.
Just have Steven answer the door, and like the kid thinks, oh, this dad's a little bit small.
Oh, look at this little guy. Yeah, and then all of a sudden I come out with a bat and a gun and a shovel and pretty much everything that I could.
You say this all now. You say all this now. You say all this now.
But it's going to be fun because I obviously am going to. Yeah, I'm gonna have fun with it. But I always thought about what's the movie? It's with Gerard Butler, and he's a cop that's trying to break up like bank robberies, and the lead guy, has like someone come over and meet his daughter or whatever. He brings him into like the garage. I'm gonna kick myself for not remembering the movie name.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like pulls his buddies. He pulls his the girlfriend's boyfriend or the new guy into the garage, and there's like all these guys working out, and they're all like 6'4" football players, and he basically like threatens the shit out of them. It's with 50 Cent, isn't it? Like, man, what is that damn movie? That's gonna kick.
You'll think of it as soon as we go off air. That's when you'll think of it.
Yeah. But anyway, so fantastic news for Schwim and for the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Another baby, and wishing them all the best. Steven, on the other hand, like I said, just doesn't like us. He didn't want to be here. Den of Thieves is the name.
Okay, Den of Thieves.
And highly recommend. I really liked it. It was with obviously Gerard Butler. Pablo Schreiber is really good. He's like the lead bad guy. O'Shea Jackson Jr. So Ice-T's son, 50 Cent, a bunch of other people, but I highly recommend it.
He's in O'Shea Jackson Jr. is in King of the Monsters, right?
Yeah. He's the soldier.
He's one of the he's one of the soldiers, one of the main soldiers in King of the Monsters.
Yeah. So yeah, good movie. Highly recommend. All right, so hockey, and I think we kind of gave our predictions last
we didn't do finals predictions. We didn't do finals predictions.
I said Oilers in 6. I thought you said was it just me and Schwim last week? Who was on last week?
I don't know, but I don't think you asked any of the. You didn't ask any of the Let's Go Devils guys. You didn't get any of their predictions.
Oh, we didn't. I didn't get that.
As soon as the Rangers were out, as soon as the Rangers lost.
Yeah, after this, I care. I don't care.
Yeah, you yelled at me all last year for me running it.
I thought I did.
No, you didn't ask.
Well, your stupid your stupid scoring system. That's what I was yelling about you for.
Yeah, I know. Well, you should let me run it
Pick
again.
a series wrong, and then all of a sudden,
I think if you can guess the number of games, you should get something for that.
No, not if you lose.
Yeah.
No. What? It's like. I mean, I actually know a good example of what it's like, but you can't.
Because my scoring was right.
That was terrible. You're just lucky we love you.
I know. I know. I'm lucky. A lot of people love me.
But yeah, so we talked about the series, and we pretty much gave the. I'll take a look. But we talked about the series. We pretty much said that Florida's depth is what will be the driver on how good they are, and same thing on the other side with Edmonton. You have obviously creative offense, and you saw that in Game 1, but you needed the goalie to stand up, and I, for the most part, thought that Skinner played pretty decent. It was 2 goals on him, and both were horrible mistakes by the defense, and specifically because this guy sucks. Darnell Nurse and it was Cece were on for both goals against, horrible turnovers, and just not playing well in the offensive zone. And there's a turnover that led to the second goal by not Barkov, but Reinhart. I did not. We knew that Bob was going to be good. I didn't know he'd be that good because Bob was stellar in Game 1, and he single-handedly won that game for Florida because Florida's offense and defense, defense was good, but Florida's offense was not very good at all. They didn't come at the waves like they did on the forecheck. I thought that Edmonton's time of possession was much better. The much better quality scoring chances. The shot totals, I don't really care about shots all that much, but they, were obviously in favor of Edmonton Oilers. And Edmonton's got to be kicking themselves that they couldn't put a couple past Bob, because they own that game, and I cannot see Florida coming out tonight and laying that same kind of egg in game 2, where their offense doesn't pick it up and their defense just plays well and they rely on Bob. So I think Edmonton's in trouble. Figured see what you thought.
Yeah, so this is an honest assessment, not just picking at you, but the Panthers played. Bob stepped up and won the game for his team when his offense.
He pulled a Shesterkin.
He pulled a Shesterkin. So the big scorers for the Panthers now have to step up and support Bob, which your big guys couldn't do for you. Nope. For Shesterkin.
Yeah.
So I have no doubt that year 2 in the playoffs, not just the playoffs, but the finals for the Panthers, I think is going to be very good for them. They know what it takes. They know what it's like to be here and lose. And I think that that's one of the greatest motivators that a team can have, is getting there and losing. And yeah. I can't remember how many of them actually, if any of them stayed and watched the Cup presentation last year at the end. I don't have that type of memory. I can see maybe Paul Maurice.
I don't know that. Maybe I don't know that
Paul
I've
Maurice
ever
maybe
seen
doing
any
that
player.
or having it, or at least having it on in the locker room or something like.
Maybe
it's more so soccer stuff. Maybe it's more so soccer, but a lot of teams, when they lose a major tournament championship, sometimes the managers will have their team stay out there on the field or whatever and watch, just not to rub it in their face, but to say, listen, this is what you want. This is what you want. I actually like that idea of coaching in that regard, like saying, listen,
I don't know.
We're gonna watch. It sucks. It sucks. I hate to lose. I hate to lose in a game that's meaningful. So I'll be the first to say that it would probably be really hurtful for me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I understand that type of motivation of like, listen, let's watch. Just watch, because this is where you want to be. Like, basically making that your goal right in front of you. You're at the finish line. There's your goal right in front of you. I don't know. Yeah. Personally, I kind of like it. That's just me as well.
Yeah, I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know how it would. I don't know that I could do that to a team. The kid, if I'm coaching, right, have them out there and kind of watching this, because it hurts and you've been fighting for it. And actually, I've never seen. I haven't really, but they really don't show obviously the losing side's bench. But I really haven't seen anybody watch the Cup presentation on a losing team. I feel like they go back with their teammates and they, even if they're there to watch, they're consoling them and and all that other stuff. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so this series, obviously, first game 1, game 2 is on now. It's about 9 minutes into the first, 0-0. The Stanley Cup ratings, though, were awesome. They're up 43% across North America, which is really good considering that Connor McDavid is in this playoff, and he is the best player in the world. I don't think there's any question on that. And he is so much fun to watch, and he needs to get the American viewership watching, on TV when this kid plays, because he is. I was talking with Steve, and we can get this right now. Is McDavid? I was talking with Steve about this, and we kind of got into that we think that McDavid is top 6 all time. He's not top 3. I think that's specifically reserved for Gretzky, Lemieux, and Orr. I think those 3 are a class of their own. I think 4 and 5 is where you can start to put him in. It's Crosby, it's Gordie Howe, and I think McDavid's right there. And if he wins a cup this series, and he retired at the end of this season, and he wins the Conn Smythe, whatever, I think he's top 6. Can you think of anybody that you would put him ahead or put ahead of him if his career ended now, knowing what you know about this dynamic and special player?
I mean, the only other player that comes to mind that would make a a run for top 6 would have to be Ovechkin.
Richard? Oh, see, we didn't even we had Ovechkin.
Ovechkin.
See, did we say? I don't know that he's top 6. I know the goal record and stuff.
He's going for the goal record. And honestly, I would think that Gordie Howe would have to be 4th. I know Crosby's great.
See,
but Gordie Howe was, I think, he's one of the all-time greats. And I know he played at a different time. I know he played at a different time, and he was a different type of player. But he was such an all-around player.
Changed the game.
I mean, there's a reason why it's called the Gordie Howe hat trick. You know, a goal assist and a fight.
Which he only had 2 of.
Which is hysterical. Which is hysterical. However, he was that type of player that would muck it up, and not for nothing. The guy played into the 1980s.
Yeah,
his career spanned like 5 decades, something like that.
For what he did off, in a historical perspective.
Yeah,
that's why he's up there. I don't think you look at his stats and you're like, that's one of the top players.
If it wasn't for the damn lockouts, we'd be talking Jágr. If it wasn't for those, if it wasn't for the lost time in those seasons,
I mean, he went away for a little while.
He did, and then, but he's still. I mean, I know he's playing, Czech Division 2 or whatever it is, but I think if we don't have those lockout years, he doesn't miss that. He doesn't miss that half season in 95, 94, 95. There was the full lost season. The one other half season, we don't have those lost seasons, and Jágr's scoring records would be up there, and he'd be in the top 6.
He'd be a second all time, but he'd probably closer to Gretzky. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I agree. We thought about Maurice Richard, obviously, because what he did, first 50 goal scorer. Obviously, one of the best of all time. We didn't think you could put a goalie in the top 10. But I know that they're obviously pretty close.
I mean, goalie is tough to put in the top 10 of all time because it's such a different the nature of the position is so different.
Yeah,
and you have such. I think goaltending more so than forwards. There's so many. There's like different eras, like distinct different eras of goaltending.
Yep.
You have until the 1950s, 60s. The pre-mask era, the post-mask era, then you have the butterfly era, and then I guess you would call it, you can maybe call it the post-butterfly era and the new era of goaltending, because you have different classes of goaltenders, and I don't like this current, I don't like this current era of goaltending because everyone looks almost the same.
Yeah, you think so?
I mean, maybe it's nostalgic on my part. I thought the goaltenders of the mid to late 90s to early 2000s, when you had all those different styles,
I mean, you had three of the top. Yeah, you had 3 of the top 5 goaltenders of all time in the 90s.
You had Brodeur, Waugh, and Hasek, all 3 different styles, and then you had someone like Mike Richter, who was more of like that traditional stand-up style.
Yeah,
you had Felix Potvin, Ryan Miller came in at that point. You have goalies like Chris Osgood, kind of more that kind of traditional stand-up style.
Yep.
I don't like. I know these goaltenders are great, but they're a lot of times a lot of these goaltenders they're so robotic in a sense.
They are.
Yeah. And I'm trying to learn more and more of the newer style and the newer stuff, but I don't know. It could just be the nostalgic part of it all for me. Growing up as a young goalie in the late 90s, mid 90s, wanting to do all those things, but I liked it because there was a distinct difference between all of the best goaltenders. And then you have someone like Jágr in 2003, who was just more of like just a monstrous butterfly goalie, and is the reason why the Ducks, made it all the way to the finals against us in 2003.
Oh yeah.
It's. I don't know. I don't know. It's probably nostalgic on my part for loving that, but I don't know.
Ray Leo said that Florida's on a 5-minute power play. I'm just trying to see what happened. I wasn't able to pop it.
Jeez, what the hell happened there? Oh God, Ray Leo, another 5-minute power play. Ray Leo and I know all about.
They got a 5-minute power play, but then as I turn it on, Ekman Larson goes in the box for 2 minutes. So
of course
that's gonna be a 4-on-4. But yeah, 3:23 left on the Florida 5-minute power play. It's gonna be 4-on-4 for 2 minutes, and then they're gonna go back to Ekman Larson with a trip.
Okay, so they're gonna go back to a power play towards the end.
Yeah, so the minute 23 left. Listen, I think that so back to McDavid is where we kind of start on this.
We got off.
Put him in the top. Would you put him on the top 6, or you'd put Ovechkin first and then him 7? What would you?
I don't know. I think he would probably be 7 until he wins a cup, which I know is kind of a crap.
The cup this year,
kind of a crap.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
If
at the end of the season, say he wins this cup, he gets the Conn Smythe. At the end of the season, he retires. What would you put him?
I mean, there's still so much potential for him to do so much more. But yeah, he would definitely
Edmonton goal. Edmonton finally gets a goal. Matthias Ekholm.
Is it a good goal? Good goal?
Yeah, it's a good shot. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I guess he would be top 6. You know what it is? It's his personality, and this is not a slight against him, but you know, at least for me, I mean, I try to watch what I can as far as hockey is concerned, but I don't get to watch as much as you guys. With his personality being almost as bland as it is, sometimes what he does kind of goes under the. This is going to sound.
Yeah.
He's a star, but he doesn't have that personality, and the league doesn't. I feel like the league promotes him, but they do it in almost like a different sense than they do someone like an Ovechkin and a Crosby.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's
well. Listen, he's not,
and he's way up in Edmonton. Like he's like for us, like he's way up in Edmonton. Yeah. Like you know, the coverage of Edmonton down here in New Jersey is
once Gretzky came to LA, right? That's when his meteoric rise hit. Right. He was obviously tremendous in Edmonton, and everyone loved him. And he was the best player. But yeah, when he came to LA, his star power rose. And maybe you need something like that to happen with Connor McDavid. That's why I was talking to Steve too. You're like this. In 2 years, it might be the biggest free agent class in NHL history. It's
him, McDavid, obviously.
It's Eichel. And it's Panarin, and there's a boatload of names in 2006, or 2026, and you know I was joking with Steve that just so happens that Panarin is off the books. Hey, you know maybe the Rangers throw $15 million at McDavid. Anyways, but the point was
because your goaltender wants like 12 to 15.
Well, and to that point, so the goaltender wants 12. Say he makes $12 million.
Yeah.
If you do it by percentage of the cap, it's actually 13%, which is the same thing that Lundqvist got in his last deal. It's the same thing that Bob got 3 years ago or whatever he got.
Percentage of the
whatever he got the boatload. Well, that's what you have to judge it by. It's percentage of the cap.
Yeah. But is the cap going to go up? When's the next cap rise supposed to be? 2 years from now?
Next year is going to be another $4.5 million. This year went up 4.5. Next year it's supposed to go 4.5.
4.5. You still got to fit it all in. I mean, you got to fit it all in.
Yeah, I was joking around with the McDavid thing because that's going to be crazy. But
yeah. I mean, I'm thinking more like analytically about it, like because then so let's say you throw that at him, you pay Shesterkin, you're going to have to pay Laugh, you're going to have to pay, you know, you're going to, you know, it's, but yeah, that free agent class could be big, and I'm curious if maybe they would make a bigger push to get that cap up a little bit higher for that free agent.
Oh, class. They will. Well, that's why the Rangers have been talked about of not buying out Trouba, because that would put money on the cap for that 2026 season that they don't want, because he's done in 2 years too. So you're taking off $20 million between Panarin and Trouba in 2026 offseason. That's very good.
This is where you can do kind of like a hybrid type thing, you know, at least in my opinion. So MLS has this thing called a designated player, and each team has 3 designated players. In those designated player spots, you can pay whatever you want.
Yeah.
The sky's the limit, and it doesn't count against the cap. So like that could be quite an interesting type of model.
What they should do, they should reward drafting. And if you have a player that you draft, it doesn't matter, whatever round you want, I don't care. But if you draft the first rounder and you re-sign him to a long-term deal, you should get percentage off your cap, because it's like it's called the Larry Bird rights in the NBA, where you can give more money to a player that you've drafted. And they should do stuff like that. They should reward teams for drafting well. If you draft, and you can only do it for one player, that's fine. But if you draft a big-time player and he, say, makes $15 million or $12 million, whatever you want to say, he should get a certain percentage off the cap because you drafted him, you developed him. Like, reward teams for doing the right thing. And so we talked about that. And then we also talked about how, you could, it was that, and it was, there was nothing me and Steve were talking about. I kind of forgot about it, but I would think that would be a fantastic idea. Make it so that, your players that you re-sign and that are, quote unquote homegrown, stay in your organization. Oh, it was also about the cap with the teams that have no state income tax. There should be a certain percentage that is removed. Well, Florida, Dallas, Vegas. There's Seattle's going to be there soon. There's a bunch of teams that are not. It's not cheating the system because it's the way the law works. But
it's the state. It's state by state. It's the union.
Yeah, but they should have a percentage taken off their cap that makes it equal playing fields. Well, because but it is unfair because technically they're getting more cap space. They're not getting more cap space, but they're able to use.
Players are getting a better value by going there.
Yeah, players are.
Players are getting a better value.
So in terms of that, other teams are getting kind of screwed.
But that's what you get for teams, for living where you do. I mean, that's
well. Then how about this? Then for those teams like Florida, who was rewarded handsomely with revenue sharing, you don't get revenue sharing because you clearly are able to take advantage on another thing. So why should we then, as a New York team or a Toronto team or a LA Kings team, why should they have to put money into the pockets of, owners that are technically making out better, with the cap situation and their ability to. Vegas is another one. I think I said Vegas.
You said Vegas.
Why should those teams get
I don't think
rewarded that way too?
That becomes a slippery slope as far as because Florida has this tax and Toronto has that much more tax and New York has that much more tax. That gets into some kinds of wild math, but and then which can then lead to teams, getting sweetheart deals from local politicians, and it can get really kind of slick and sketchy. And you don't want any of that. I mean,
I'm trying to figure out a way to make it a little more even playing ground with these teams.
How does the franchise tag work in the NFL? How does the franchise tag work in the NFL? You get to pay whoever you franchise
for another. Yeah, franchise rates. So it's the top five, the average of the top five players at that salary range, or of that. So the top five quarterbacks, you average out their salary, and that's what you get as your franchise tag, and it makes it exclusive rights to that player at that money. But it's only 1 year at a time. So
they got to do something. But because these player contracts are going up, and thankfully the player contracts are not as absorbent as in like MLB, which some of those contracts are like Shohei Ohtani getting what, $700 million.
Yes.
That's just not sustainable. That's not sustainable.
But it is. They're doing so well. MLB, see, that's the problem. NHL is so clearly behind the other three leagues. Obviously football's its own monster, right?
Yeah.
But you have basketball players. Well, Connor McDavid makes
12 and a half?
12 million? Is it 12 and a half?
Something like that? Yeah, something like
that. Deals 2024. Or 2023. Someone in the NBA, and he's pretty terrible, just got like the same amount as Connor McDavid did, and he's like maybe not even a top 100 player in the NBA. But that's why it sucks, because you have NHL guys like, oh man, Connor McDavid, 12.5 million, it's 14% of the salary cap. The guy should be making 50% for all I care. So he's the best player in hockey, right? Like,
I'm curious what. I mean, it does suck, but I'm curious what his total net, taken for the year is with all the endorsements and crap like that.
But it's
because
not nearly as much as LeBron James.
Well, yeah, but that's because hockey is more of such a niche little thing. Like,
Yeah,
I don't want to say little thing, but it's definitely a niche thing. Like, if you went out on the street and you asked 100 people and you showed them a picture of Connor McDavid,
oh, no clue.
10 people would maybe be able to tell you who Connor McDavid is, and you show them
100,
LeBron James. Maybe Sid or Ovechkin would be more notable.
I don't.
But
think
again,
so.
it's more of a it's like it's more of a niche thing here, at least in the United States. In Canada, forget it. It's completely different. Canada, it's all hockey. But even soccer here in the U.S., like if you showed people a picture of Messi and Ronaldo, most people probably get it. But you showed people, I don't know, a picture of Mo Salah, and they'd be like, "Who the hell's that?"
2026. You want to hear all these names? I give you a couple.
Let's hear it.
Let's hear it.
Watch it. Run down the list.
McDavid.
Let's do it. Okay.
I'm going to go by average annual value from right now. Connor McDavid's 1. Panarin 2. Right. Carey Price, he's not going to play. He's going to retire. 3.
No, he's done.
Eichel, Bobrovsky, he'll be 38 at that time, so he's probably going to get a lesser contract. Yeah. Ovechkin, Cale Makar, Kaprizov, Patrick Laine, John Carlson, Trouba, who cares? Shea Weber, also who cares? Jason Robertson, Kyle Connor, Anze Kopitar, Evgeny Malkin, Matthias Ekholm, Cam Fowler, Ryan McDonough, Anders Lee, Mark-Edward Vlasic, Jacob Markstrom, Trevor Zegras, Jaden Schwartz, Charlie Coyle, Thatcher Demko, Connor Garland, Jordan Eberle, Alex Tuck, Josh Manson, Spencer Knight, Mason Marchment, Connor Bedard, Logan Cooley, Simon Nemec, Leo Carlson. Obviously, these are RFAs, so some of these guys are going to get re-signed. But still, this is just for, Leo Carlson, Matt Zuccarello, Shane Wright, Nick Leddy, Philip Gustafson, Boone Jenner, Matthias Michelli, Kirby Doc. I mean, the 2026 Adam Vittilli.
Now,
crazy.
And that's also assuming that these guys don't get deals.
Yeah, some of them could get re-signed. Absolutely,
and I'm sure some of them will have deals extended and re-signed and stuff like that, because the front office would be stupid for not doing that.
Oh yeah.
Like is Chicago going to let Connor Bedard walk? I mean, no. I mean, he's going to be an RFA, but still, it's like.
Yeah, he'll have his rights for that bridge deal, right? He'll have 2 more years at least to sign, but.
Yeah, but they're not going to let him walk. He's going to save their franchise, because their old front office did all they could to ruin that franchise, so they need him.
Yeah. How about next year's UFA class? Which,
let's hear it.
You could tell me it might be better. Tavares, Marner, Jamie Benn, Mikko Rantanen, Sidney Crosby, Leon Draisaitl, Brent Burns, Ryan Johansson, Victor Hedman, Evgeny Kuznetsov.
Some are old, but
Draisaitl.
I highly doubt that Edmonton is going to let Draisaitl walk. I highly doubt.
They might not have a chance if they don't win this cup. If they don't win this cup, and next year they don't go as far.
That's different. So but you would think, though, that they wouldn't let it get to that wire. That they would say, "Listen,
they might not have a choice. They might not have a choice.
Possible they might not have a choice.
Yeah. I mean, just say they don't win this cup and they go into next offseason. He thinks, okay, let me play out the year, see how they do. If they prove it, then, I'll come back. If they don't win, he could say bye-bye. I mean, this offseason alone, I think if they win the cup this season, it's those two come back, because then they already have their cup. They can re-sign for the maxes, and, you want to still win, but you might not necessarily care as much. And
you don't have to win. You don't have to win.
Exactly.
Again. You've won.
The pressure's not on you anymore.
Basically, a veteran.
Yes.
He won his cup. Yeah. He won the cup.
He's like, let me go get the records then.
He doesn't have to win it again. And that's all that they will re-sign him for, is just to get the record as a cap. That's it.
Yep.
But I've heard talk with Draisaitl very much kind of like because there is talk out there about Draisaitl, like, maybe he wants to get out from under the shadow
Possibility.
McDavid, but then you bring up the situation of like, look at Malkin with Crosby. Like, just liked being there with Crosby. It very much could be that type of duo. And you have to think that the Edmonton fans are they've got to be nervous of being like, is this going to be like a second Gretzky situation where McDavid does all he can and does all he does with whatever it is with Edmonton, and it just like pieces out, be like, I'm gonna go see you later. I'm gonna go build my, I'm gonna go set up the next 8 generations of my family and go somewhere else. It's possible.
Absolutely. So we talked about McDavid tops all 6 all time. He could join 2 guys named Gretzky and Lemieux as the only players to hit 40 points in a playoff, which would be amazing.
What is it now?
33 as of today, because he got the assist on the goal from Ekholm.
33.
1-0. 30 seconds more left in the first. Yeah, 7 more.
It's going to be.
Get it.
He could get it, but it's going to be tough because
he's Connor McDavid.
I know he's Connor McDavid, but he's I got to think that Bob is a little extra motivated being 36, having lost it last year, and you don't know, especially at his age at 36, you don't know. I hate talking like 36 is old. It's not. It's younger than us, but at 36, how many more opportunities is Bob going to have?
True. Yeah.
Kachuk's got plenty of opportunities. Reinhardt's going to have plenty of opportunities. Barkov will have more opportunities. How many more is Bob going to have? Effective opportunities, and not just being a backup. So
true. Yeah, and Spencer Knight, I would think next year takes a little more of the reins, or at least makes some.
Well, we were talking about this last night on Let's Go Devils. It's like, everyone, and rightfully so, made a big deal about that $10 million a year contract that Bob is on.
Yeah,
and Bob,
not bad now.
Bob didn't do much until like within the last year from.
Well, it's the playoffs. It was playoffs last season, this year, and then this playoffs.
And then it's been now, a season like and a half. Now all of a sudden that contract's like, oh man, this is great. But leading up to this, like up until last year, right before the playoffs, that $10 million contract for Bob was an albatross.
Yeah, no, and I mean now it's still not great, but yeah, you'll take it anytime.
If it's going to bring you a cup, you'll take it. You'll take shelling out that money for that if it's going to end in a cup. But you got to think like how many. But I have heard the one thing about Bob is he's one of the hardest working guys on that team, if not the hardest working guy on that team.
No, people love him.
I can see Bob being an effective goalie probably for another 4 years, but it's a matter of being in a situation where you're going to be where he is now.
Someone to take
of winning the cup.
Yeah, he needs to play that 45, 50 games max. Get somebody to
60-40,
take that
like a 60-40.
Yeah.
It's this because the days that we grew up, we were talking about nostalgia for the 90s.
70 game guys.
The 70 game guys, the Brodeurs and Braden Holtby's playing 70 games, 75 games. That's gone. That's gone.
Lundqvist had like 68 max, I think, 1 year. But
even then, those games gone.
It's crazy. Yeah, no, you will never see because people they're too worried about
analytics is taking over. That's the problem.
Wow, so in 07-08, so games played. I didn't realize Lundqvist played 70, 72, 70, 73, 68, and then he started to go downhill after that. But Jesus,
but since then,
I didn't realize he started 73 games.
Since then.
Yeah, I mean that was 2011. 2010 that happened. Like you don't see that the last 10 years. No. I think you'd see very much not close to that.
No, not at all.
65 in 15, 16. Wow. Man, I love Henrik Lundqvist.
I know you do, and I will admit I've gained a lot more respect for him after having become an analyst because he's damn good at analyzing the game. He's damn good at analyzing the position. And I'll admit it. I hate to admit it, but he's a damn good dresser too.
Oh, he is. He's a good looking dude. I mean, He's a man rocket. We'll talk about him more because I do have some opinions. I think he might be, he's in the top 10, I think, goalies of all time, but I'm wondering if he's pushing that top 5. I wanted to get your opinions, but we'll talk about that another time. We're running out of long time.
Yeah, we can talk about goalies another time.
The last thing I want to say, so best matchup ever, possibly, in this series. Lots of one-of-ones, and by one-of-ones, I mean, these players are the only player, only of their kind out there. Obviously, McDavid is McDavid, right? He's the best player in the world.
He's McDavid.
He is a lightning rocket with hands and brain that match his, rocket feet, right? He's so fast.
But no personality.
Personality. Well, also one-of-one, yeah. Draisaitl is that, power forward, but not really power forward in the traditional sense of like banging heads, right? He's almost like Rick Nash.
He's
smooth
forward.
And big and just a monster. He's the only player I can think of. Maybe peak Malkin, back 6-7 years ago. You could compare him to. Matthew Tkachuk is the best power forward in hockey right now.
Oh yeah,
he's a one-of-one. And then Barkov is Patrice Bergeron, and there's no Patrice Bergeron anymore, so he is the best all-around forward in the National Hockey League. It's funny that you have 4 of the best players in the NHL, and all of them are completely different from the other.
Oh yeah, and I feel like with a name like Barkov, you should be more of a snot-nosed, gritty player.
Russian.
And you shouldn't be.
No, I actually think the other way. I think with a name like Barkov, his name sounds Russian. I would think, lazy Russian, like, someone that'll just, Ovechkin,
Yeah. But I don't know, because he's a Finn or a Swede, I forget.
Finnish, yeah.
Finn, yeah. Which, I think Barkov, like, he should be more of a gritty player, but he's that Patrice Bergeron, and that's the type of player that we were talking last night, like that we hope Nico turns into, like we want Nico to kind of turn into that type of Barkov type player, because he could be.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, to be that, to be a Bergeron, an Andrei Kopitar, Alexander Barkov, just to be
3/4 of that player, I'll take.
Yeah,
I'll take 3/4.
Yeah, you'll absolutely. Hey, how about this one? What if he's Mike Richards? That's a really good player.
That's another good one.
Great defense.
Another great one. Yeah,
like he's not in the same category as Bergeron or somebody's like, we've talked about Mark Stone.
Underneath,
the guy can never play in the regular season. Yeah. It's a very good
I mean, Mark Stone likes to get injured in the regular season.
This is something that is going to hurt me to say, and I said this to Steve as well. I'd take Nico Hischier over Mika Zibanejad right now.
I'm not surprised.
That should not be the case, especially after the series. The season he had last year, he was very good. He's been a point of a game player. He's talked up as a top center. I think that I would rather have Nico Hischier over Zibanejad right now, especially after this past playoffs. Nico
Hischier is the heart of our team. He is, and there's a reason why he's the captain. There's a reason why he's the captain, and he's not that I'm going to go out there and destroy someone like Tkachuk type player, but he's that quiet captain who goes out there. He's probably great in a locker room, but he goes out there and quietly leads by example, and that's what he does.
He's good.
He's
a good player.
He doesn't go destroy. Yeah, and I don't blame you. Like, that was one of those, and I remember that draft. It was like him or Nolan Patrick. Like, that was a big. That was a big
thing. I'd
still
rather have the 3rd or 4th pick, like Dallas or Colorado, but yeah.
Who'd they taken at? I can't remember offhand. I'm drawing a blank.
Who did Dallas and Colorado take?
Yeah. I'm drawing a complete blank.
Cale Makar and Nico and Miro Heiskanen.
Yeah, they're really good players too.
Yeah, they're really good players. Yeah, but I think 5 was Elias Pettersson. So listen, you guys got a top player in the draft.
Oh yeah.
I actually would rather have the picks 3, 4, or 5 in that draft. But,
I mean, you know what though? That's one of those things. So, and that's the roll of the dice with a draft pick. Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
Like that year, the argument was Nolan Patrick and Nico Hischier, but then Nolan Patrick got that goes injuries, and sometimes those junior players, they don't really come into their game until they become NHL players.
Yeah, later on. Yeah.
Later on.
No,
I mean,
really
it's one of those things. But I would love to have, Heiskanen or Cale Makar on my team, but I love Nico, and I Nico is great for this team.
Also, Jake Ottinger was in that draft. Nick Suzuki, Robert Thomas, actually pretty good draft.
That's a damn good draft.
Jason Robertson, second rounder.
Who'd you guys take?
We took Elias Anderson. Oh my
god! That's another another Hugh Jessamine style year for you.
So
guys.
right after him, Casey Middlestat was taken. I'd rather have him. Owen Tippett was taken at 10. Gabe Velarde at 11. Martin Necas, Natchez at 12. Suzuki at 13. Robert Thomas at 20. Josh Norris at 19. Yeah, fucking Rangers. Phil Pedal 21. So that was a good pick. And then
as long as he comes back from his injury.
Pedal 21. Yeah, I hope he does. We need him badly.
I mean, I hate to see anyone go out with an injury like that.
Yeah, it sucks. You don't want to see that.
It does suck, especially a head injury, because that could be such a crapshoot.
I mean, I've Kurt Sauer and Michael Sauer, right? Two brothers that just concussions ruined their entire careers. And I think I read about Kurt Sauer. Yeah, well, Lindros too, yeah. But I think I read about Kurt Sauer can't even go into, like, if he goes out in the sun, he has to basically wear, like, those shades that make it all black all around your eyes so you can't see, like, light. Like, it's that bad.
That's not good.
Yeah, and you feel so bad.
You do, and it's. I mean, thankfully they're starting to do something with concussion stuff, but it just went for way too long, that. But from coaching at the high school level like I do, they harp on that now at the high school level.
It's scary as hell. Yeah, it's scary as hell.
It is scary, and sometimes, and I'll admit to this, and I'm sure you probably dealt with it too. Like sometimes it's like, all right, well, I know he was in concussion protocol, but it really wasn't that hard of a hit. But that's what you got to do. It's
sometimes just a little whiplash. Yeah, that sucks.
I know, and it sucks because you and I probably had concussions playing that we just don't know about.
I have two that I definitely know of where my bell was rung. And you come out of it and you're like, what the hell happened? And probably another 3 or 4 that, and I'm dealing with, some concussion syndrome, post-concussion syndrome stuff in my own life, which sucks. But yeah, would never wish concussions on anybody. They really are just absolutely miserable. Got anything else? Oilers up 1-0 into the first period.
Nothing.
Florida will have a power play when they get back on about a minute.
I'm going to go enjoy some hockey. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Boston Boston and Montreal hosting the Four Nations face-off. We'll get to that more as in the off season. And then Oilers scratched CCN Perry ahead of game 2, so they're not playing. They brought in
Shrimp's favorite player.
Players. Yeah, Shrimp's favorite player. Shrimp's favorite player. Yeah, they bring in Darnay returns on the defense, and then at forward they brought in Sam Carrick. So,
hey, we may as well tease this because it's mid-June already almost. Potential draft party.
And draft party. Yep. Absolutely.
Draft party. So
we'll find out the team and the name and time and place, and we will let you guys all know.
We know the beer, though. We know the beer.
We do. Yep. And Crew Brew.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be good. We love it.
Oh, it always does.
All right. It would help if I actually clicked the ending music song.
The button.
This Painkiller Cosmics by Blair Snort, fantastic. Highly recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
It is easy drinking. It's light, 4.5%, and the flavors really. I mean, it tastes like a painkiller. You'd get it like a mixed drink.
There you go.
Very, very impressive. 4.5.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'll give Short Trip. I'll give Short Trip a 4. It was good. It's a little bit more of a bitter IPA, but yeah, it was good. It'll do the job. You know what? This will be really good and effective on the beach.
I like it. Shroom's not here, obviously, baby. Congrats, Shroom and Cynthia. Also, congrats to my cousin, Megan and Kevin. She had her baby the same day as Shroom, so very cool. Lots of babies coming out. There was a lot of partying about 10 months ago. But we love you all. Congrats, and we will see you next week.
Listening to me.